This video will show you my top 3 techniques for overcoming negative thinking. I'm going to share with you ways you can apply it in your own life, making it very simple so it's also easy to apply. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the practices that I use in my own life in order to transcend the idea of negative thinking, how I'm able to slow down my thoughts so that they don't consume me. Now this has to do with some things I've shared on the channel before, but I get asked the question a lot, so what I thought I would do is compile my top 3 techniques into one video so that you guys can always come back to it just in case you guys want a refresher on it. Now, the first thing to understand about this is when it comes to negative thinking and it comes to overthinking, the key to the whole process is non-identification. Now, non-identification means that we aren't identified with what we're thinking and we're more so able to just observe it. Now, I use this analogy a lot because I think it's very easy to relate to, but imagine that you're sitting at a park, on a park bench, and you're watching people walk by. There might be people walking by, families, maybe a dog walks by. The idea is that you're sitting there and you're just observing the people walk by. They're not good, they're not bad, they just simply are. And when we look at our thoughts in the same way, it makes it so much easier to understand. In the same way we wouldn't follow the people and get up and start following, identifying with the people that walk by, we can realize that we are not our thoughts. We may think our thoughts, but when we learn how to observe them, that's where we start to take our power back, is in the observation. Now, the first technique I have for you is neutralizing our thoughts and being able to relate to our thoughts as we are thinking them, but they are not who we are. Now, in order to do this, all you simply do is first off have the awareness that everything in life is fundamentally neutral. Now, this is powerful in understanding because then we realize that if something is good, it's because we associate it with being good. We're giving it a positive connotation. If something is negative, then we're associating it with being something that's not good or something that we don't want to experience in our life. Now, the power of this is knowing that when something happens in our life, when a certain situation happens, it has the meaning built into it that it is neutral, but we tag the meaning along. So the next time that maybe something happens to you and priorly you would have said, that's a negative thing that's happening, I can't believe this is happening, you can always bring yourself back to that midpoint and realize this is a neutral idea. I can choose my perspective, and having that awareness means that you won't get the negative effects from it. Now, from a thinking point of view, the key to this is being able to observe those thoughts and actually allow them to be there. Now, this was a game changer for me because when I learned how to observe my thoughts and to let them be there, that's when I started to get really good results. Now, that seems like a paradox. Like, you normally want to try to control the mind. You want to try to control and not have the negative thoughts, kind of like shield us from it. But realize that when we do that, it's the ego that's trying to control everything, and that causes resistance. And that resistance will end up creating more of itself, so then more of those negative thoughts come in. So the key to this is to actually let it be there. Now, this is the analogy I use in order to understand this. And I'm not talking down to anybody or us in general because this is the analogy for the ego. But imagine we are talking to a toddler, like a 2-year-old. The idea is that if the 2-year-old is arguing with us and we keep arguing back with it and we keep trying to control it, that causes resistance. But sometimes the best thing to do is to just let the toddler have a temper tantrum. Let it go do its thing, and eventually it's going to get tired, it's going to take a nap. Now, in the same way, we can treat our ego the same way. Our ego, in a way, could be the part of like a 2-year-old. The idea is we can let the ego observe those thoughts, and eventually, as they observe the thoughts, as we are observing the thoughts of our ego, eventually they go away, and then as we allow it to be there, it'll start to lessen and we won't be thinking them as much. So the key to this is pure observation, neutralizing the thoughts we have. They're not good, they're not bad, they simply are. And if you apply this, this can be the biggest game changer in your life when it comes to meditation. At least it was for me. Now, the second way that we can go about this in order to overcome negative thinking or just to stop overthinking in general is to do this exercise, and you can do this with me right now. This exercise is simply, all we're going to do is we're going to bring the awareness out from being in the head majority and into the hands and the body. Now the idea behind this is something I learned from The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. What we do is we bring the awareness out of the thinking, out of the intellectualness, all the seriousness of the mind, and we bring it into our body. And the idea is that when we put the awareness into our body, we can't be overthinking at the same time as putting the awareness there. So the key to this, and you can do this with me right now, what we'll do is we'll take 2 deep breaths in through our diaphragm, breathe in through our nose, and what we'll do is as we breathe out, put all your awareness into your hands, just the sensation. You don't really have to feel it, but you can if you want. Just put your hands like this, feel into your body, and just put this sensation there, put your awareness there. So right now, let's take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. So and as you breathe out, put the awareness on your hands, put the awareness on your left leg and foot, your right leg and foot, put the awareness in your chest, in your heart space. And as you do that, you're already taking the awareness out of the head, out of the overthinking. Let's do one more. Same thing, bring your awareness into your left hand, your right hand, your left foot, your right foot, into your chest, into your heart. And as you feel into it, you are able to take the awareness out of the head, out of the overthinking, the intellectualness, and into the body. And that's where you really start to become present to the moment. Becoming present to the moment is the solution to overthinking. It is the solution to negative thinking, because when you become present to the moment, you allow the present moment to be, and then everything begins to go away that is unwanted. This has been some of the most powerful stuff that has changed my life. Now the third one and the final one I want to share with you has to do with something that's kind of like meditation, but it's more of about breaking patterns. It's about understanding the power of our physiology and how our physiology affects how we feel. Now with this, understand that the way that we move, the way that we represent ourselves has an effect on how we feel. Now, when we are immersed into the negative thinking and we find that it's consuming us, the idea is a lot of times that is simply a pattern that we've practiced. We may have practiced this pattern so much, it may have become a part of who we are. But the key to this is knowing that what we can really learn to do is to break the patterns that we have. Now, the easiest way I found to break a pattern, this is something I learned, it's like a mixture right here of Tony Robbins and Dr. Joe Dispenza from his book, How to Break the Habit of Being Yourself. What we can do is we can use our physiology, we can move ourselves in a certain way, and we can say a phrase that just represents to us that we're breaking a pattern. Now in Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, he talks about saying the word change. To say change anytime we want to break the pattern and change our thoughts to something else, so that we start breaking the habit of those negative thinking and those negative thought loops. Now, we can say change, and then something that I learned from Tony Robbins is bringing the physiology into it, and that's why I keep going like this. Bring your body language into it, bring your posture into it, and realize that as you do that, you're also changing it at a deeper level, because from a physiological point of view, you're able to really make a more powerful change. So what you do is anytime you find yourself going on a tangent of that negative thinking, you first off catch yourself. And that's the first part of the equation, because when you become aware of what you're thinking, you've already started to take your power back, because normally we're in the autopilot mind and we're not even aware that that is what we're thinking. So first off, be grateful, because now that you're aware that that is what you're thinking, you can actually change it. You cannot change what you are not aware of, and you cannot change what you do not own. So own it. Know it's okay that you're thinking those negative thoughts, but what we're going to do is we're going to decide to change. So what we're going to do is when you find yourself and catch yourself thinking those negative thoughts, say the words change, say any word that really represents that idea to you, and use your hands like this. Do some type of thing with your body that makes you kind of wake up from that autopilot thinking so that you are able to break the pattern. This is something that I apply in so many different areas of my life when it comes to negative patterns I have, whether I'm like chewing on my fingernails or whether I am doing something just with my thoughts and I'm thinking a certain way and a momentum is starting. I do that and I find it's very powerful. So these are the top 3 techniques that I've used. They've radically changed my life. A lot of the people that I coach, I share this with and they get very good results, or it just completely changes their life. Like they learn how to observe their thoughts, and from that point it changes the way they see the world and the way that they relate to the world, because they change the way they relate to their thoughts. So remember, the 3 techniques are, first off, simply neutralize anything you're thinking. Realize that everything is fundamentally neutral, and that as you learn to observe your thoughts as if you're sitting at a park bench, you will start to neutralize them. They won't have so much power over you. That secondly, you can do the daily practice just for a minute or two of bringing the awareness out from the head and into the body. Put the sensation on the hands, on the feet, on the heart, and do that. You'll find that you start to become much more present to the moment. Thirdly, break the patterns of negative thinking by using your physiology in a certain way and deciding that as you do that, you can revert that to the thinking that you actually prefer, or to the neutrality that doesn't have power over you. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification gear so that you're able to see the daily videos that I do. Also, I put a free PDF in the description box on the top 3 LOA techniques that have changed my life. Feel free to download that as well. And as always, I will see you guys on the next vid. Peace, much love, namaste.